There are no secrets to success, just things you haven't learned yet. And once you learn them, it's up to you to apply them. I'm Jamaal, aka Boss Eagle, Billboard-charting hip-hop artist and music business coach. Join me as we talk digital marketing, social media, technology, and more, and share interviews with industry professionals to help you unlock the secrets and take control of your music career. Because we are the new music business, and this is the Indie Musician Secrets Podcast. What's up, and welcome to the Indie Musician Secrets Podcast. My name is Jamaal, aka Boss Eagle, Billboard-charting hip-hop artist and music business coach at Business Minded Musicians. I want to welcome you to today's episode where we're going to be talking about 4 ways that small bands can improve DIY touring. But before we jump into that, I want to say thank you for listening to the podcast wherever you are streaming. And also, you can find us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Don't forget to download, rate, review. That would greatly help. If you like an episode, please leave a review. Make sure that you share the podcast as well. That will help us continue to push the podcast forward. So without further ado, let's jump into today's topic: 4 ways that small bands can improve DIY touring. And if touring has been something that has been interesting to you in the past, if it's something you've wanted to do, I'm here to tell you that it is possible. I know it's always kind of seemed, maybe a little bit scary, or you thought, oh, that's for bigger artists on record labels and things like that. But playing live, we already know, is a great way to connect with fans, see new places, all that good stuff. But touring can be possible for smaller acts as well. Smaller acts such as smaller bands or solo artists. There are a lot of people doing some really cool things these days. But with that, tour planning should be done smartly. It should be done in a way that makes sense for you and your band. And so we're going to talk about 4 different ways that you can improve your touring if you're a smaller band or a smaller act. And we're actually using an article on the ReverbNation website to talk about these 4 items. So thank you to ReverbNation for this awesome article, and in particular to Patrick McGuire, who wrote this article. And I will leave a link to the full article in the show notes in the description as well. So let's dive right in. So first, one way to improve DIY touring for small bands is to start with short regional tours and expand from there. I know this kind of probably goes without saying. Makes sense that you want to start smaller and then expand from there. This will be easier on your resources. And if you think about it, long DIY tours are hard to promote, and as the article explains, even harder to execute. If you have limited resources and your band's already maybe a little bit stretched, it might be hard to spend your energy and expand your energy and your efforts around so many states and so many cities. So starting with a short regional tour and slowly expanding is probably the best way to go for smaller bands. Don't get caught up in the whole idea of the adventure of countrywide tours. That definitely sounds great, and that sounds so fun, and I want you to get there one day, but I also want you to be able to get there when it's appropriate and when it's time to get there. There's nothing wrong with taking the road trip and all that stuff, but let's do this in a smart and efficient way. You want to make sure that there's demand for your music, and there's some ways that I think that you can do that, which I'll probably touch on a little bit later. But start closer, and as the article says, don't book shows that are in faraway places that'll be difficult to return to. Because remember, if you're driving yourself, if you're financing this thing yourself, you have to think about all of those costs. And as of the making of this podcast episode, we're here in July 2022. Gas prices are through the roof. So it's something you want to think about from the expense standpoint. Make sure that you're starting out close, make sure you're starting out regionally, and then expand from there. Cool? All right, the second of the 4 ways that small bands can improve DIY touring is to create a realistic plan and budget for the tour. So the article expresses the importance of budgeting and planning accordingly. I know this sounds super boring. I know this doesn't sound like fun. You just want to hit the stage, you want to see those new cities. But if you run into anything, if you have any snags, you want to make sure that you budget and plan for those things before you get out on the road. And that's everything from lodging to how much gas money it'll take for you to get from point A to point B. Again, remember, gas is expensive, and you probably want to build in some contingencies there as well. Think about, where are you going? Even as you're planning, right? Could you plan strategically, say where there are family, where there are friends, where maybe if you're comfortable enough, where some of your super fans live, and could you stay with them? Could you sleep on couches or a room above a garage or something like that? The article says don't operate basically off of what you hope will happen, but rather plan around likely show outcomes. I think sometimes we might tend to overestimate how much merch we might sell, or how many tickets we might sell, or how many people might give donations or buy a VIP package. So just kind of, I would encourage you, just plan more conservatively, and then if you do exceed those goals or those outcomes, that's even better. One little bonus hack that I want to throw in on this one, I don't know how many of you out there have done this or are familiar with this or comfortable with this, but one thing you could also do is consider sponsorships. And sponsorships don't always have to necessarily be someone putting money in your pocket, but maybe wherever you go, maybe you have a restaurant sponsor that, will, provide you meals or something, and you do kind of a shout out of their business from the stage. Think about those types of in kind sponsorships that may be beneficial to you while you're out on the road. So just something to consider, but make sure you create a realistic plan and budget for your tour. Number three of the four ways small bands can improve DIY touring: focus more on promoting important shows and less on playing often. And I know what you're thinking, but wouldn't we want to pack in a show every night? And yes, that does seem like it would make a lot of sense. However, more shows could mean more chances to earn money. But as the article states, the truth is this strategy can result in constantly long drives, right? Morale sucking shows. So shows that just like, where you're there performing maybe for one or two people, and money problems for you and your band. So when you think about it, just trying to build in shows just for the sake of may not be the way to go. But what you might want to do is focus more on the important shows that may have a better turnout, that maybe are already a guarantee, that type of thing. A couple of things also that the article mentions is that you have to consider if you and your band members have day jobs. So you want to be thinking about how much time you're going to be away from work, and is that taking money out of your pocket as well? And then if you're not replenishing that while you're on tour, that could cause problems. Booking shows just to get from A to B almost always results in sparse crowds, is kind of one of the things the article mentions as well. We just spoke about that. And so they say to consider playing less often and doing more to promote important shows. And you can do that through local radio, press, interviews. You can always kind of look to build some of those other things around your shows. Are there opportunities to be involved on a campus radio station or a local community radio station or local press, those types of things, to drum up and draw more attention to what you're doing. All right. And then lastly, number four of the four ways small bands can improve DIY touring is they mention do not tour without good music and a good reason. So don't tour without good music and a good reason. One of the things the article states is that touring is simply too much work to do without a good reason. Your music should be developed and your performance experience should be built locally. So you want to make sure that your music is primed, but that also your ability to perform that music is at a level that's going to be receptive to the audience, right? Otherwise, a national tour isn't going to do you any favors if you're going around, hitting up every city every night, but your music just isn't there, and then your stage performance isn't there either. You might be doing a disservice to yourself. So think about that, right? The article states that even if your music is great, it may not be the right time to hit the road, but promoting new music or road testing unreleased songs are kind of a few reasons why bands might choose to tour. So if you do have some new music coming out, if you're working on an EP or an album or something like that, touring could be a good opportunity, a good reason to share that music. But they also state that if it's been years since your last release, that you might be better off kind of staying in the studio, making more music, creating more music. And I would say, again, throwing back in there, performing locally so that it's easier for you to just do the show and then go home, right? Instead of having to worry about where you're going to sleep that night, or if you've got to drive to another city and if you have gas in the van. Okay, so one bonus hack that I want to throw in for this one is to run ads in areas of interest and start getting feedback. And I think this one ties back into what I was talking about earlier as well. And that first one, starting with short regional tours and expanding from there. One of the things that you can do is you can actually very cheaply you can run ads to your music in the places that you want to go to, so cities that you want to visit. And I would say just start to see how people are responding to your music through those paid ads. I know sometimes artists get scared by paid ads and they don't trust Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, but I'm here to tell you that's just a bunch of nonsense because those people probably just didn't know what they were doing. I run ads. You guys know that's one of my big things. It's one of my superpowers is digital marketing. Even if you started just starting by taking a look inside your dashboard for your digital distributor or for Spotify and seeing where your top cities are, right? And then just start to put a little more emphasis, a little more effort into maybe some of those cities that are of interest to you and see how much feedback you get. See if people start making comments on those posts, start engaging with people, talking with them, asking them, hey, where would be the great places to visit? Where would be the great places to play? Start getting those people on your email list. And then that way you can start to look at maybe going out to some of those places and building little mini tours in certain regions, but you've already got a little bit of a head start, if that makes sense. So if you are interested or if you want to know more about how to do that, how to grow a fan base digitally, I do have a course called the Fan Base Growth Accelerator. You can find that. You can go to businessmindedmusicians.com, click on our course. You can find that there. I'll leave a link in the description as well. But that's one way that you can start to, like I said, drum up some of that attention and some of that feedback before you even hit the road. Okay, so your action item for today, there's a couple of things. It's kind of two parts. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to make sure that your music is ready for the road. If that's something that you are interested in doing, if you're ready to go out on tour, if you think you want to start maybe doing one of these smaller regional tours, make sure your music is ready first and then plan your tour the right way. There are so many resources out there, and I just want to encourage you to invest in yourself by investing in one of those so that you can take some of that pressure and some of that legwork off. One of the ones that I would recommend is the Indie Venue Bible. It's a resource, a great resource. I have a copy myself, but it has over 30,000 venues and festivals in the US and Canada. So everything from, traditional venues to music festivals, colleges, bars, restaurants, house concerts, churches, bookstores, anything you can think of where you can play. And this is less than $50. It's less than $50 for a great company to curate all of this, put it in one document, a PDF with clickable links where you can actually click on the links and go and find out more information. So I'll leave a link below or in the description wherever you're listening to this for that as well. But you can go to venues.bizmindedmusic.com. That's venues.bizmindedmusic.com, and it'll take you to the page where you can grab a copy of the Indie Venue Bible. Again, over 30,000 venues and festivals in the US and Canada. And that I think would take a lot of even just some of that legwork out so that maybe you could build those tours, those little miniature tours or regional tours a little bit easier, a little bit faster, a little bit more efficiently, and really be able to focus on going out and putting on awesome shows. Okay. So with that, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like covered on the podcast, feel free to email me at questions@indiemusiciansecrets.com. Don't forget to share the podcast with anyone you think this would be helpful for. I would greatly appreciate that. And again, I want to say thank you to Patrick McGuire and ReverbNation for this great article. I'll also leave the link to the full article in the description. With that, go do your action item. Go start rocking those stages. God bless, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow the Indie Musician Secrets podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen, and make sure to leave us a rating and review. Also, share this episode with other indie musicians you think it would be beneficial for. And for more helpful resources to help you grow your music business, visit us at businessmindedmusicians.com. I hope this episode has served you. We'll talk to you on the next episode.